What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be going over Facebook ads and the different methods that you guys can be using in 2020 and on. Now, I know a lot of YouTubers out there really don't stay up to date with Facebook ads. They made a lot of changes recently. However, we're going to be going over all those different things and how to get started. So the first thing that you guys want to do is to create a Facebook pixel. Now, whatever page that you set up, you want to create a pixel for that and install it on your Shopify store. So the way that you guys actually do that is you can go to preferences on your store and then scroll all the way down and you'll see a little Facebook pixel bar. And when you create your Facebook pixel, you just take that code, or not the code, you take the actual ID number for it and then you put it in the store. Now, I know they updated it to where I don't think you can really do that anymore. So the way you do that, you just go on the Shopify App Store and you find the, I believe it's Facebook Help Center or something like that, Facebook Pixel, and then you install it on the store. And then from there, that way Facebook can send over data, or that way, when you're running ads, you're giving that pixel data in order for Facebook to know who to show your ads to. So the most important thing that you guys are going to be really setting up with Facebook ads are your creatives. So that's going to determine everything. So if you guys have done any type of product research before, you've probably seen websites that look horrible and that are scammy. However, they have ads that are absolutely killing it because they catch your attention, they make you want to buy the product, and you just have all these people out here that go on an impulse buy and they just buy it. So that's going to be the most important thing out there, guys, is focusing on your creatives. That's why it's very important to test. And also, the way we're going to scale, the way we're going to figure out what's going to be a good product and what creative we're going to be using is by reading the data. And I'm going to show you guys how to adjust your columns and everything here in a second. And the whole game, honestly, guys, if I were to put Facebook ads into one bubble, it's about testing. So you can take a product that was doing, just absolutely horrible and turn it into a winning product just based off of the creative. And that can even be determined within the first 3 seconds. So for the first thing that we're going to be going over is the testing. So the testing phase is where we're going to figure out what creative matches what audience. So ideally, we want to test 3 creatives, and in order for you guys to conserve your budget, especially for your new dropshippers, I would only focus on changing the first 3 seconds of a video, because that's going to be the biggest impact on whether or not a creative does well. Now there are other factors like thumbnail, the ad copy, the text heading, ad text, and everything like that. But by far, the first 3 seconds of the video, aka the scroll stopper, is going to be the most important part. And what we want to do is we want to spend $50 to up to $100 in total testing these 3 creatives in order to determine a winning creative, or at least one that is outperforming all the other ones. And there's a lot of YouTubers out there that'll tell you to test by using, I think it's video views, or what is it? Page views or something like that, and then PPE, which is pay per engagement. Honestly, that way it's really not productive for testing. And I say that because what we're trying to do in the long run is have conversions. We want people to purchase our product, so we want to show our creatives to people that are willing to purchase this product. So if we're going to be showing our ad if we're just going to be doing like pay per engagement, it's going to be people that aren't really interested in buying, they just want to engage in the post, and Facebook knows these things. So that's why we want to start out with conversions with the purchase optimization, and that's ideally what we want to do, because that's what's going to really give Facebook the amount of data that they need in order to find the customers for your product. So it'll give us better results in the long run. So if you guys are wondering why, I'd suggest that is why. So next thing is choosing the interest. So obviously, when you get into a product, let's say I don't know, you want to sell some type of brain booster, we want to advertise to people that are related to that niche. So it's people that are interested in maybe like motivation, or well-being, or personal care, stuff like that. What I would do ideally is to target 10 interests. So have a campaign, and then the 10 interests that you select, 1 interest per ad set, and then on the ad level have 3 different ads with 3 different scroll stoppers. Everything else the same, just change the scroll stopper. And then have the interest. Now don't have all of them based around, we want to test as broad as possible. So, have like, I'd say 5 interests related to your product and then 5 interests not related to your product. Because believe it or not, if you test something like, Netflix, shopping malls, online shopping, something super broad that may not be related to it, it might outperform those other interests that are related to the product, which is, is pretty cool. But that's just how the Facebook algorithm works. And also, we want to target interests that are above 5 million. Don't target anything below 1 million people in total. And we also want to target the top 5 countries, which is Australia, the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and New Zealand. So those are going to give you the best conversions overall. And then let's say you do well in those countries. From there, you can expand when it comes to scaling and target worldwide. So when you guys are testing, you need to wait 1 to 2 days. So set that budget, set a $50 to $100 budget, wait 1 to 2 days, and then you need to look at all the data that it gives you, click-through rate, add to carts, purchases, all that stuff. So I'm going to show you guys here this in a second. Alright, you guys, so as you can see, we are creating a campaign here. So the first thing that you guys want to do is select conversions, and then you can have this can be named whatever. Sometimes I like putting purchase campaign, and then a lot of people ask on whether or not they want to test ABO or CBO. I've been sticking with CBO for a while, only because I've figured out it works the best for me. And all that means is, so you're taking an entire campaign of how many ever ad sets that you have, and then placing a budget for the entire campaign. And then Facebook will distribute this budget between all the different ad sets. Now, with ABO or ad set budget optimization, that's when you select a budget for each individual ad set. That's how Facebook originally was, but with CBO, it is said that this does perform better. For me personally, that's what's been performing better for me. Some people like testing with ABO. Honestly, it's up to you guys. You need to figure out what works best for your account. Something that works for me may not work for you. So we're going to be testing with CBO, daily budget, $100, highest value or lowest cost. Just leave that. You don't need to touch it. Let's see here, and then continue. And then ad set name. So the ad set is the next level down from the actual campaign. So you just want to name this whatever your target. Let's say you want to do some type of brand booster, whatever, for your product, and then we want to target personal care. So that's what our name is going to be. Website, don't need to touch this. Conversions, don't need to touch that. And then select pixel. So you should have already created a pixel here. That way Facebook will be able to collect all your data. So we're going to be selecting this, and then you want to make sure this is under purchase. And obviously you're not going to have any purchases here, but we want to still be optimizing for them, because you can use Facebook. All right, we don't need to touch any of that. 7 days, you don't need to touch this. Now, some people say that if you have a product above $50 that you're selling, to have it at 7 days after clicking, and then if they said it's under $50, have it 1 day. Honestly, I haven't really noticed a difference. But going on down here, we don't need to touch any of this yet. First thing we want to do is have different target locations. So we select Australia, and then United Kingdom, Canada, and New Zealand. All right, and then what I generally like doing, sometimes Facebook acts weird and they'll see the countries that you have targeted, but they'll target like other countries as well that are just not good for your campaign. So obviously you want to exclude countries that are less likely to buy. What I've done personally is actually created a list. So if you go down to Save Creations, or locations. I've created these T5, no countries. So you select that, and that'll exclude all these different countries that generally will not convert that well. So you want to deselect that, and obviously we named our ad set personal care, so that's what we're going to target. And that has around 42 million in total between these countries, which is good. And also you want to keep this on automatic. And like I said before, guys, we want to target as broad as possible. That way we're giving Facebook, the amount of data that they need, the amount of space that they need in order to find these customers. Because if you're super pinpoint on who you're trying to target, you're not giving Facebook a lot of room to optimize. So obviously keep this on automatic. And then what we want to do is set up a start date. We always want to start at 12 a.m. The next day. Now, for some reason, I don't know why this shouldn't be here. They should have some type of option to have a no end date. But we're gonna just continue with that. I'll show you guys how to fix that here. But all right, so this is where you have to select your page and everything, of course. So, and then if you have an Instagram account, select that as well. And then your ad name. So at this point, before you even set any of this up, you need to make sure you have creative set up already. Now, I'll create a video for you guys showing you how exactly to set up creatives. Now, the important thing that you need to realize is that, like I said, the first 3 seconds is the most important. Your scroll stopper is the most important. Now, since I've already had creatives made before, I'm just going to use an old one. So once you have all this set up, trying to think here. No, actually we want to use once you create the ad and everything, upload your creative. What you guys need to do, and this is very important, once you create the ad on here and then you click publish. Alright, so I'm just gonna hold on. Blah blah blah. I don't know. We can just set this up. So we can say buy this product. Obviously, you don't want to leave these broad like that, but I'm just showing you for example purposes. Alright, so, and then of course we want to change this to shop now. And Facebook pixel's already set up. And then we want to hit confirm. And it's as easy as that. And then before you move on to creating the other ad sets, this is very important. I need you guys to pay attention here. But we need to take the creative that we just made in here and then make it a existing post. So let's go here, and we need to turn this into an existing one. And then all you guys got to do in order to do that, you go to, I'm trying to think, I don't know why they removed this feature. Trying to think. All right, so we need to turn this into a existing post. That way Facebook tracks all the different engagements, so that way we're not having individual engagement for each ad that we set up, just in case we want to use this ad in the future. As you can see right here, select that. All right, and then we hit publish again. So like I said, that way Facebook changes this to an existing post, because if you just keep continuously doing this in the future where you add a new website, a new header, new ad copy, all that stuff, that way Facebook can track or keep up with all the engagement. So if you want to use this ad in the future, it'll just build up on all that as like, you know, social proof. Alright, so obviously if you haven't set up your pixel, go ahead and do that as well. And then what you guys can do is just duplicate this. So this is already an existing post, so we can duplicate that. And then upload your other videos here, the different scroll stoppers, and then rinse and repeat that same step. Excuse me. Alrighty, and then like I said before, sometimes it's just the start date. You want to have it at 12 a.m. so you want to duplicate this. We'll just say 10 times because it wouldn't let us put a no end date for the ad. Alright, so this is what I was talking about here. For whatever reason, it's glitched when you set it up, but you want to have this set up for the next day at 12 a.m. And then from here, you can go on to the next ad set. So click this one. We can target something else. Now, since you guys will be using a $100 budget, just so it doesn't get spread out too thin, and just so you're giving each ad set like a you know, a fair chance of really spending in order to figure out, you know, what creative is good. What we can do is go ahead and select all these and add a minimum spending. That way, you know, if you select a different type of interest that has, you know, way more people in it or way less people, Facebook isn't just going to allocate all of its budget towards that. So let me see here. Where did they put that? Spend limit right here. So you just go through here, add a spend limit. You know, generally what I like to do, I take the total budget of your campaign, divide it in two, so $50, and then divide that amongst all of your ad sets evenly, so you have 10. So you can do anywhere from like 10, yeah, like $5. It'd be $5, but honestly, what I would do, guys, if you're starting out with $100, just to make it an even chance between all these ad sets and to really give your creatives the amount of data that they need, is just to start out with 5 interests. I'm actually going to do that only because I want you guys to understand that if you're allocating most of your budget, or if you're allocating just a little bit of your budget, like a tiny bit, because just think about it. You have 10 interests here, and then you have a $100 budget. So each ad set's going to get about $10 to spend, and you got to divide that up between 3 creatives. It's really not a fair testing phase for the ad sets. So we're just going to have, I'm not sure why it's giving me an error, but we're going to have just 5 ad sets just starting out. So we're just going to delete all these other ones. Alright, so from here, we're going to go ahead and create the next. So what I like doing is creating, so if I were to do this, so we're going to have 3 different interests that are related to the product. So personal care, maybe motivation. And then also, you don't need to be touching the genders or the the age, unless your product is specifically for women or for men. Like if you were selling a makeup product, obviously you'd want to target women. And then if we're using an example product of a brain booster or some type of supplement, then obviously it wouldn't matter. So we want to keep that broad. So motivation, personal care, and then let's see what else. And then another cool tip that you guys can look at is look at a related interest to it. So personal care, well-being, beauty sounds, well, not beauty, well-being sounds like something that would be similar. Sorry guys if I'm making this drawn out. I'm just trying to give you guys as much valuable information as I can and really take you guys step by step. And I'm just coming across things as I go. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. But the next thing, so since we have three different interests that are related to our product, we can test more broad now, stuff that's unrelated, maybe like Netflix. And like I mentioned earlier, if you target these type of things, these are going to have bigger audiences and can potentially even work better than the interests that are related to your product. So Netflix, and that way Facebook will just have a more broad knowledge of what to target. So personal care, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. And lastly, and then maybe we can target, let me think. Oh, one thing I like to do is just not even having an interest here and just targeting these 4 countries. That way we have like a constant, if you know what that is, like in science theory and stuff like that, having, a most basic constant, like just targeting just everything. That way we give all these interests a fair chance. So I think that would be good. So we'll just put T5 here, top 5 countries. And as you can see, that gives Facebook a lot of room here. It's 330 million people. And then from here, all we just got to do is publish that. And I might get some errors here only because I'm not really sure as to why, but let me see here. Oh, okay. So it's set up just fine. So that is the basis of setting up a launching campaign for your product, and it's very easy, very simple. And we just wait 1 to 2 days, and then from there we read the data. Now, so going back out here, let's just say this was the campaign that I just set up, and we waited 2 days. So generally what we want to look at, we want to go in and use a breakdown tool. So as you can see, breakdown by like country. Like for the products that I've done, what I found out, the best thing that you can look at for breakdowns is obviously your creative, and then also the different countries that you target. So what you want to look at for your different, hold on, let me see here. So for this testing campaign, let's say after 3 days, 2 to 3 days maybe, go to your ads, and then you want to look at the different data here. So as I mentioned before, we don't need this breakdown. You want to look at click-through rate, all that stuff, and then you can sort by that. So if you click on here, the click-through rate, it'll sort by all of that, and then it'll tell you, which one has the highest. Also look at the purchase ROAS for the different creatives. And then also, you want to go to each individual ad set too. You can look at that, see which one was the best performing. look at the add to carts, the initiate checkouts, the click-through rates, ROAS. So, if you have a higher ROAS for that specific ad, you have a higher click-through rate. Obviously, that'd be the one that you want to go for. And, within 1 to 2 days, you're going to be able to get a couple purchases. If you don't get any purchases, obviously, either the product isn't good or your creatives aren't good enough. But more than likely, it is the product if you are not getting any sales after the first couple of days of spending. Because, like I said, I'd say 90% of this whole game is just the actual product that you have. So if you don't have a good product, then your ads just may not do well at all. And then the rest of it's just like the creative that you have. And but yeah, so let me see here. Maybe I can give you guys a better example. But yeah, the things that we would want to look at is click-through rate, all that stuff. And then let's say you find the ad specifically does well. So the next step from there, what you guys want to do, is see what interests perform the best. So let's say motivation did the best overall. From there, you can take that. And then what I like to do, what's worked for me, is turning off the ads that did not work, or the ad sets, or that were just unprofitable. So you just cut those off. And then let's say motivation, personal care, we're doing really well, you leave those on. And then from there, you can lift the budget. So for that campaign, you can raise the budget at say 20%, if your ROAS is above your break even. So you need to calculate that. So if you want to calculate the ROAS, all that is, what we'd want to do is create lookalike audiences. And lookalike audiences are when you'd have to look at this. That's where this comes into play. 95%, 75% video views. And generally you want to have around 1,000. So once your creatives reach that, and all you got to do, you just look at this. So over time you'll be able to see that. Alright, so let's say we've waited around 1 to 3 days. Next thing we want to do is look at the data. So one thing that you guys want to keep in mind is that this breakdown tool is going to be your best friend when it comes to looking at the data as well. So what I like breaking down for is the country. Some products will perform better in certain countries than others, and what I've done for some is I just completely cut off the country based off of how well it did. So some countries, they might do better in Australia, others might do well in like Canada, stuff like that, United States. And what I'll do is I'll edit the actual ad set and then remove the countries that did not do well. So as you can see here, the ROAS of like 3 or 2, stuff like that. And then you scroll farther down here, like 1.59, maybe that's one we can cut off, 1.23, etc. And then also you want to look at the different click-through rates as well, purchases, etc. for the different ad sets. If you look at the amount of purchases, ROAS, etc. If you had an ad set that performed really well, and then one that maybe didn't get any purchases, you can cut that one off, and then scale the ones that have worked. So if you look at these, you can probably scale these ones, and all you'd have to do is just raise the budget for the whole entire campaign, and then cut off the ad sets that had a bad ROAS or no sales at all. So that's how you would scale. And then from there, like I said, for the different creatives, you want to see what creative performed the best, and then cut off the creatives that did not do too well. Ideally, you want to have one creative and have as much data build up for that over time, just so we can jump into lookalike audiences. But for creatives, you'd look at the click-through rate. You'd also look at the ROAS, purchases, all that. Alright, so for the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be scaling. So scaling should be relatively easy. Now, sometimes it's hit or miss for me personally, because I've tried to duplicate audiences. I've tried to simply just raise the budget. What's worked for me personally is raising the budget simply, even in the same campaign. Now, like I said before, you guys do have to test these things for yourself, because it may be different for different ad accounts. So one thing that you guys can do is choose your best creative, and then if you find that a ad set is performing well, raise the budget by 20%, and then wait 2 days and then make another decision. Now, if your ad set does not do well, or if it does worse weather, just lower the budget to what it was performing the best at. And then after the first couple of days of testing has gone by, with the initial launch, you guys can start doing lookalike audiences. So after you've got enough data for your specific creative that's done the best, you can start running 95% video views. You can start running 75% video view lookalike audiences, and those are going to perform better. They should perform better than the regular interest or broad targeting, only because that is the amount of data that you have given Facebook in order to figure out who exactly to target. And for other lookalike audiences, like let's say visitors by time spent, or initiate checkout, or purchases, you need to give Facebook a little bit more time with that. Ideally within, I'd say, 5 to 7 days, depending on your budget. But like I said, if you have a higher budget, you will be getting this data faster. But starting out 95% video views, you want to have around 2,000. Start out with for your specific creative that has done the best, not overall your best creative. You need to be looking at so your overall best creative, you need to have at least 2,000 95% video views, and you can look at that on Facebook through that certain column that I showed you guys earlier. And then when you guys are launching these lookalike audiences, you need to be also testing more interest in order to find winning ones that you can scale as well, alongside with your other winning interests. So that way you guys can really rinse and repeat overall what I was showing you guys here. So I'd say in between 1 to 2 months or so, you will be needing to have new creatives put in. Now, this also depends on how you are scaling. So if you're scaling really fast, then you will need to be launching new creatives every couple of weeks or so, because you will encounter ad fatigue or audience fatigue. So the way you look at how fatigued your audience is by looking at the frequency. So that tells you, that's also a column as well on Facebook that you can look at, but that will tell you how often people are seeing your ads. And if people are seeing your ads too many times, they're not going to pay attention to them. They're just going to keep scrolling because they've seen your ads multiple times on different placements, and they just don't care about it anymore. So the best way that you guys can create creatives is have custom creatives. So you can take your product, send it over to Fiverr gigs. There's a lot of people in there. There's hundreds of people in there that they can take your product in, do these amazing custom videos for them. And at this point, if you're looking to find new creatives, then you should be profitable. You should be at a point where you're investing into content. So you can send them your product. They'll do complete custom creative for you. Even at this point, you may even have enough money saved up to where you can have your own brand logo on it. With these creatives, you need to have your watermark on there, because you know how it is. Everyone that gets into dropshipping wants to have other content that's available to them, so they're going to use other people's content. So you need to watermark your stuff, and then it's rinse and repeat. And then from there, what I've noticed that's worked for me personally is by having like when I have these new creatives put in, even if they don't outperform the original creative, I can create new lookalike audiences off of them, and then from there those actually perform way better. So that's something that you guys should keep in mind as well. But overall, that's what I want to discuss in this video. Hopefully you guys get a better understanding of how to set up Facebook ads, and what you really need to look for in order to scale and to have a overall profitable store.